A few months into one of my previous jobs, I remember sitting in a meeting where everyone was throwing around jargon I didn't fully understand, nodding along like I got it. But inside, I was spiraling. I thought, I don't belong here. They made a mistake hiring me. I was scared someone would call on me and I'd be exposed as a fraud. The weirdest part? I was doing well. My manager said I was performing great, but I didn't believe them. I'd go home exhausted, obsessing over tiny mistakes, convinced I was just lucky and that one day I'd be found out. It felt like I was wearing a mask every day, pretending to be competent, calm, confident, when underneath I felt like a mess. Have you ever felt that way too? Like your success is just a fluke, like you're just winging it and eventually someone's going to figure it out? Do you brush off compliments? Downplay your achievements? Constantly compare yourself to others who seem more qualified, more confident, more capable, like they know what they're doing and you're just guessing? If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Studies show that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives, even people who are objectively successful. It affects CEOs, doctors, creatives, students, and chances are it's affecting you more than you realize. But here's the good news, it's not a life sentence. And overcoming it doesn't mean becoming a different person. In this video, I want to share some surprising and unorthodox strategies you probably haven't heard of before. Ones that have helped me and many others go from doubting ourselves constantly to showing up with quiet confidence. First, we need to understand what is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, also known as the imposter phenomenon, is a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite evidence of their competence. They often attribute their success to external factors like luck rather than their own abilities. The term imposter phenomenon was first introduced in 1978 by psychologists Pauline Clance and Susanna Mess. Their research focused on high-achieving women who, despite their academic and professional success, felt like they were not genuinely intelligent and feared of being exposed as an imposter. Imposter syndrome is not classified as a mental disorder, but is recognized as a psychological experience that can lead to anxiety, stress, and depression. It often manifests in high-achieving individuals who are unable to internalize their success. Some of the key psychological components include the imposter cycle. It's a pattern where success leads to feelings of fraudulence, resulting in anxiety and over-preparation or procrastination for future tasks. Perfectionism, setting excessively high goals and feeling disappointed when they're not met, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy. Attribution style, attributing success to external factors and failures to personal shortcomings. Some common triggers why you may feel like an imposter could be facing new challenges, like starting a new job, a new role, a new academic program. High expectations. Environments with high performance standards tend to trigger imposter syndrome feelings. A minority status, meaning being part of an underrepresented group can intensify the feelings of not belonging. And upbringing. The family dynamics that emphasize achievements or criticize mistakes can make the feelings worse. So, some common strategies to overcome imposter syndrome. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. Recognize and accept that you're experiencing imposter feelings. This might sound simple, but it's often the most powerful initial step. Imposter syndrome thrives in secrecy and denial. When you're caught in its grips, your instincts might be to push those feelings down, ignore them, or pretend they're not there. You might think that acknowledging them makes them more real, or that it's a sign of weakness. However, the opposite is actually true. So, what does it mean to acknowledge your feelings? So first, recognize the sensation. Pay attention to the physical and emotional cues. Do you feel a knot in your stomach before a presentation? Do you find yourself downplaying your achievements or attributing them to luck? Do you have a persistent inner voice telling you you're not good enough? These are the signs that imposter feelings might be at play. Then, name it. Actually say to yourself, even if it's just internally, this feels like imposter syndrome. Giving it a name helps to externalize it. It's no longer just a vague sense of unease, but something you can identify and understand. And accept its presence. This doesn't mean you have to agree with the feelings, but rather acknowledge that they're there. Resist the urge to immediately fight them or judge yourself for having them. Think of it like acknowledging a visitor at your door. You see them, but you don't necessarily have to invite them in for tea and let them run the house. Then, validate your experience. Remind yourself that experiencing these feelings is common, especially among high achievers and those in new or challenging situations. It doesn't mean you're actually incompetent or a fraud. It's a psychological pattern, not a reflection of your true abilities. Number 2, reframe your negative thoughts. Challenge and change unhelpful beliefs about your abilities. Imposter syndrome is fueled by a constant stream of negative and often inaccurate thoughts about your abilities and accomplishments. Reframing negative thoughts is about actively challenging and changing these unhelpful beliefs. So, what that really means is first, you need to identify that there is a negative thought. Pay close attention to the automatic thoughts that pop into your head, especially when you're facing a challenge, receiving praise, or reflecting on your work. These might sound like, I just got lucky. They're going to realize I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not as smart or capable as everyone else. This success was a fluke. I'm going to fail eventually. And then challenge the thought with evidence. This is where Socratic questioning comes in. Instead of accepting these thoughts as facts, start questioning them. Ask yourself, what's the actual evidence for this thought? Look for concrete proof, not just feelings. Have you consistently performed poorly? Have you received negative feedback repeatedly? Often the evidence is weak or non-existent. What's the evidence against this thought? Think about your past successes, positive feedback you've received, the skills and knowledge you possess, and the effort you've put in. What are other possible explanations? Could your success be due to your hard work, your skills, your preparation, or your collaboration? Could a mistake be a learning opportunity rather than proof of incompetence? What would a supportive friend say to me in this situation? Often, we're much harsher on ourselves than we would ever be on someone we care about. What's the worst thing that could realistically happen, and how would I cope? Sometimes, our fears are exaggerated. Thinking through the actual consequences can make them seem less daunting. And then, replace these negative thoughts with more balanced and realistic ones. Once you've challenged the negative thought, consciously try to replace them with more accurate and self-compassionate statements. For example, instead of, I just got lucky, try, I worked hard and my skill has contributed to this success. Instead of, they're going to realize I don't know what I'm doing, try, I might not know everything, but I'm capable of learning and contributing. Instead of, I'm going to fail eventually, try, everyone faces setbacks sometimes, I'll learn from it and keep going. And then, practice consistently. Reframing negative thoughts takes time and effort. It's like retraining your brain. Be patient with yourself and keep practicing this process whenever those imposter feelings arise. Next tip, celebrate the achievements. Keep a record of your successes to reinforce your competence. Make an achievement journal where you record any kind of win. You can refer back to this to give yourself evidence of times you've been successful and you know what you're doing. And next one, seek support. Talk to mentors, peers, or mental health professionals about your feelings. Just talking to someone about it can help reduce the anxiety towards something by 30%. Okay, and now I'm going to share some uncommon strategies that you might not have heard of. So, first one up, adopt a learner's mindset. View challenges as opportunities to learn rather than tests of ability. Accept that you may be a beginner at this thing. You're learning and will make mistakes, but that's the process anyone has to go through to learn and get better. You need to practice and fail and repeat several times before you can get good at something. Experts weren't born that way. Next, limit social comparison. Focus on your own progress instead of comparing yourself to others. If you compare yourself to someone who is well ahead in their career, you'll always fall short. Whereas if you compare yourself to someone who hasn't even started anything yet, you'll always outperform. Neither are accurate representations of how you are truly doing because no one went through your life, your experiences, and has ended up where you are today with your current situations and complications of life. So you can't accurately compare yourself to anyone really and get reliable data. Next, teach others. Share your knowledge. This can help reinforce your expertise and confidence. The more you teach and explain things, you learn. It not only reinforces it to yourself and you understand things better, but it will boost your own confidence and a variety of other skills. Next, reframe it as impostering. Instead of labeling yourself as an imposter, call it impostering, a transient behavior you're engaging in rather than a fixed trait. This semantic shift reduces self-threat and increases willingness to experiment with new behaviors. It's not an identity you're stuck with, but it's an action or behavior you're currently engaging in, and it's not forever. Anchor gestures for instant confidence. Choose a discrete physical gesture like tapping your thumb and forefinger together to pair with moments of genuine success. So for example, when something goes well, you could do this behavior of tapping your thumb and forefinger together. Over time, the gesture alone will evoke the neural reward circuits tied to past achievements, providing a quick confidence boost when self-doubt strikes. It's like they say, prepare for the worst during good times because you always fall to your level of training. Next one, medical improv workshops. Borrowing from the healthcare training world, short improv sessions like role-playing unexpected scenarios teaches you to react flexibly and embrace mistakes. A multidisciplinary study found that these techniques reduce avoidance behaviors and reinforce adaptive contributions in group settings. So, how does this help with imposter syndrome? Embracing mistakes can be done through improv sessions. What you're doing is you're making mistakes, you're learning from them in a low-stakes environment. That helps you realize that messing up isn't the end of the world. It's actually part of the process. This can chip away at the perfectionism that often fuels imposter syndrome. You're going to use this to build confidence with the uncertainty. You learn to react and contribute even when you don't have all the answers. It can translate to feeling more confident in real-life situations where you might feel like you're winging it, which, let's be honest, we all do at some point. And that study also found that improv helps reduce avoidance behaviors. Imposter syndrome often makes you want to avoid challenges or situations where you might be exposed. By practicing reacting in unexpected situations, you become less likely to shy away from things that trigger those feelings. Essentially, medical improv is like a mental agility workout that helps you become more comfortable with uncertainties and less afraid of making mistakes, both of which are key in silencing that imposter voice. The next one is third-person self-talk for emotional distance. That inner critic fueled by imposter syndrome can feel really intense and personal. It's like it's right there in your head, using I statements to attack your self-worth. I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. Third-person self-talk is a clever little trick to create some psychological distance from those harsh inner pronouns. Instead of saying, I'm feeling anxious about this presentation, you'd silently think, how is John feeling right now? How is Lucy feeling right now? Here's why this works. You're lowering the emotional reactivity. When you refer to yourself by name, it activates different parts of your brain. Specifically, it seems to dial down activity in the areas associated with intense self-referral emotions like fear and anxiety. That's the medial frontal cortex and the amygdala. It's like you're observing your feelings from a slight distance rather than being completely engulfed by them. So, by using your name, you create a subtle separation between you and the feeling or thought. It becomes something that person is experiencing, rather than a core part of your identity. This can make those negative imposter syndrome thoughts feel less powerful. Interestingly, the research suggests this happens without you having to actively try super hard to control those emotions. It's more a subtle shift in perspective that naturally helps to regulate your emotional response. Think of it like watching a movie about someone else's feelings. They're anxious versus actually feeling anxious yourself. There's a different level of emotional intensity. Third-person self-talk creates that little bit of movie screen between you and your feelings of inadequacy. Next one, which some of you might have heard of, is the strategic power posing. Imposter syndrome often comes with a sense of feeling small, inadequate, and like you don't really deserve your success. Power posing is a technique that plays on the mind-body connection to subtly shift those feelings. These expansive, open postures, like standing tall with your hands on your hips, think Wonder Woman or Superman, are often associated with confidence and power. Here's how the early research suggests it can help with imposter syndrome. The initial studies indicated that holding these poses for even a couple of minutes could lead to physiological changes, like an increase in testosterone, a hormone linked to confidence and dominance, and a decrease in cortisol, a stress hormone. While these specific hormonal links has been debated in later research, the overall effect on feelings of confidence is still interesting. Feeling more powerful can make you more willing to step outside your comfort zone and take on challenges, exactly what imposter syndrome tries to prevent. If you feel like a bit more entitled to your achievements, even if the hormonal changes are less dramatic than you initially thought, the act of physically adopting a confident posture can still influence how you feel internally. It can be a way of priming your brain for a more confident state. It's like your body is sending a message to your brain that says, hey, we got this. Think of it as a quick physical hack to nudge your mindset in a more positive and confident direction. It's not a magic cure, but it can be a useful tool to use before a challenging situation or whenever those feelings of imposter syndrome start to creep in. It's about embodying confidence, even if you don't feel fully in that moment, as a way to start shifting your internal state. And the last one I'll share with you is you are the main character. When you feel that imposter syndrome is holding you back from taking action, think about you as the main character in the movie of life. There's an audience watching this character go through the plot and take actions. Think about those shows where the character literally puts themselves in a bad situation because they don't say the obvious thing. They're hesitant, their nerves get the best of them. But as the audience, we can see that the problem will be fixed if they just say the thing or do the action. Think about your life in the same way. Think, what would the audience be screaming for you to do that you're not doing because you're scared? Maybe you just need to raise your hand and make that comment because actually no one realizes the idea that they're talking about has a huge flaw, which you've realized but feel too scared to say anything because you're the new person on the team. So, it's important to remember that you're not alone in experiencing these feelings, and thankfully, there are ways to navigate them. We've explored what imposter syndrome is and some powerful strategies to tackle it head on. The biggest takeaway I hope you get from this is that imposter syndrome is not real. You're not an imposter. At best, you're learning something new and you just need more reps. Visit my website, herintentionaljourney.com, to sign up for free coaching if you want to work with me to help overcome imposter syndrome and achieve your goals. May your journey be filled with intention and peace. Until next time, keep learning.